Hello there, les boss. Fede here. I hope you are all safe back home. The Percademy team and I are barely getting to grasp the amazingness of last week. And we wanted to follow up very, very quickly so that in this week you can feel comfortable about what's going to be up between now and Singapore. So let's get started. I want to begin by talking about our famous process chart. Remember that we always start with empathy in design thinking, then we move on to the definition stage, then we have the ideation stage, then we have the prototyping stage, and of course, we cannot forget the important testing, right? From now until our next get-together for Module 2 in Singapore, I'm going to encourage you guys as a team to focus on those first two steps, particularly the very first and most important step of empathy. So from now until Singapore, it's really important for you guys as a team to focus and ask yourselves, who are we going to interview and observe to be able to learn as much as possible about the very early stages of our challenge, right? So if, for example, we're talking about Team Europe dealing with the telecommunication challenges, you can of course think about what kind of teammates, colleagues, partners we can think about talking to who also have positive, negative, all kinds of experiences communicating across borders, right? In order to do this in the most efficient way possible, to land on the correct and most impactful stakeholders to observe and to talk to, we're going to build as quickly as possible as a team something that we call a stakeholder map. It's very simple. It has two axes. The y-axis you can label as accessibility. In other words, how easy is it to find this person or groups of people that you want to observe and interview? And then on the x-axis, you can label it as importance to the team. In other words, what hunch does your team have as to how important and how juicy is the information going to be coming from that particular person or groups of people? So accessibility and importance to the team. And so what you do is you lay out these two axes, and what you start to do with your post-its is you start to place different kinds of people, particular individuals or groups of individuals on this map, right? The people that maybe aren't too important, particularly to the beginning of your empathy research, and your challenge could potentially go down here, right? Because they're not too important, maybe they're not too easy to access, and so anything around this corner, maybe not so important. But if, for example, a group of people are critical for you to talk to, right, they're going to be really high on this axis, and maybe they're very easy to find. Maybe they're your colleagues. Maybe they're sitting right next to you. Maybe it's a customer that you'll immediately pick up the phone and call them. Maybe it's your boss, right? These kinds of people are usually important and easily accessible, right? And so after putting up a lot of different post-its, I'm going to encourage you to throw in there as many as possible, maybe 30, 40, potentially even 50, depending on your challenge. Little by little, you're going to start to see that this top right-hand quadrant is the one that your team is going to start to focus on immediately for the empathy sessions, right? And then little by little, you can start to move to the post-its that are more towards the left and down, right? Again, this is much more of an art than a science, so just play around with it as a team. As a team, of course, you're going to have to decide where in the map you're going to place each of the users or stakeholders, and that's something that you're just going to have to sort of go with the flow, all right? So very simple first tool. It gets you talking about which groups of people or individuals are going to be the most important to start to observe, to connect with, to empathize with, and to try to put yourselves in their shoes. Okay, that was simple enough. Of course, your coaches will be helping you out with this and much, much more as we move along. What I want to talk to you guys about now are kind of two general goals that we can have. So from now, point 0 in time to 2 weeks from now, it will be fantastic for your teams to get closer and closer to a point of view, right? So if we go back to the empathy and the definition, right? We've got the E and the D. You guys remember that there was this flaring and focus, right? That it was part of our Percademy logo as well. Flaring and focus. And so the idea is to, in 2 weeks, focus all of your empathy work, all the people that you've been able to interview, to connect with, and to empathize with, to start to little by little ask yourselves, what is that point of view, right? And so in 2 weeks, we would love to hear via Slack and during your coaching sessions what that point of view is starting to look like. And remember, the point of view includes a user, right? And that user needs to be specific, right? It also includes needs of that kind of user, and these needs need to be phrased as a verb, very important. And then hopefully your team can start to get closer and closer to an insight, which is basically the because of the needs, right? And this usually needs to be surprising, needs to be really juicy and interesting. It's kind of like that golden nugget that Martin and I have been talking about. Okay? So in 2 weeks, hopefully your team will have a point of view. And then we're gonna help you massage that point of view so that by the time we get to Singapore together, you will have landed on a very good, manageable point of view. And that's the goal for Singapore. So 4 weeks from now, land on a very, very good, well-tested, iterated point of view. Okay. Next suggestion that we have for you guys is that this week it would be really nice for you guys to start to fill in your journal. Remember, just build a Google document, share that link with your coaches, and we can start that journal writing going. Reflect on what happened during Module 1, reflect on what's happening now, and get into the custom of doing that at least once a week. Okay. Another detail, and this is more around logistics, really important for you guys to join your Slack groups. It seems like most of you have done so. If you haven't, look for that invitation that you received in your email and jump on to Slack, because that's where most of the communication is going to be going on from now until next time we meet. Remember that our site is pracademy.co, right? /Wilhelmsen. And there you can download all of the course material, the slides, the readings, access more information around mindfulness, all kinds of really, really good stuff. Final message, focus on the process. Remember guys, don't freak out too much about deliverables and the specifics of what your prototype is going to look like and how amazing your deliverable and your challenge is going to be. Just focus on learning and on process. And of course, of having fun. Okay, talk to you guys soon. Ha det bra. Bye bye.